Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Golf Live. I'm Ryan Aselta. We've got a great show lined up for you this Tuesday afternoon as the grand finale of the golf season is here. That, of course, is the Tour Championship. Got lots to get to as Jess Marksbury sits down for a round with UFC fighter Cub Swanson. Plus, SI senior writer Michale Bamberger tells us how he thinks Tiger Woods can begin to reclaim his place in golf history. And I sat down with five-time Ryder Cup team member Ian Poulter to talk about mastering the art of match play. But first, the playoffs, where this past weekend Marc Leishman captured the BMW Championship, which moved him up to number 4 in the FedEx Cup standings. That gives him a clear shot at that $10 million bonus on the line at East Lake. Joining me now are Golf.com's Dylan Chair and the executive director of the Bridge Golf Foundation in Harlem, Pharrell Evans. And guys, key storylines coming out of the BMW. Obviously, Marc Leishman wins, gets a little redemption after losing that lead up in Boston a few weeks ago. Jordan Spieth, though, has cemented himself atop the FedEx Cup standings at this point. Number 1 in the standings. He has another good week. If he were to win down at East Lake, Dylan, he would win the FedEx Cup playoffs, win the Tour Championship. Could he actually overtake a guy like Justin Thomas for Player of the Year award?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting question. You think about any other sport that you'd be asking, if someone wins the playoffs, is it their year? Obviously, whoever wins the World Series, you'd say they had the best year in baseball. So it's kind of interesting this is even a question. But I don't think that the Tour Championship has gained that kind of level of status in the golf world where it means that much more than another event. This has been Justin Thomas's year. I think that that'll still be true, even if Spieth gets that $10 million check. So I'd still give it to JT.
What do you think, Pharrell? If he were to win, it'd be his 4th of the year. He also has a major this year, of course, at the Open Championship. A little closer race than we thought, maybe going into the last few weeks?
Well, nothing against the PGA Championship, but I think the Open Championship, and he's Jordan Spieth. He would win the FedEx and the Tour Championship. I like his chances because of the Open Championship versus the PGA. There's a 1-win difference. It could go either way, but I like Jordan.
What do you guys think statistically? Do you take stats into play here? You got Jordan's number 1 in scoring average, number 1 in birdie average, first on the money list. He's got the 3 wins, 3 seconds. He's got 11 top 10s. Dylan, that's a pretty good season of golf on the PGA Tour.
That's pretty tough to match up with. I guess it's just that he's been there before. This has been like the coming out year for Justin Thomas. There's been this real rotating cast of characters on the tour and kind of taking over the role of top dog. And this is really the first year that Thomas has, made a claim for that throne. So I think that's why I see it as, his year. Spieth still, you'd probably take him if you had to pick one or the other for, one tournament or one season going forward. But this has been the year of JT.
Yeah, you probably can't go wrong with either one. How about Phil Mickelson, guys? He ends up missing the Tour Championship by a single stroke. Now, we're going to see Phil next week at the President's Cup, Pharrell. Over the last few weeks, seems to be a bit rejuvenated after his President's Cup spot was on the line, has played well the last 2 weeks, just missing, as we said, the trip to East Lake. What do you think? Can Phil compete going forward? Look ahead to next year. Has he shown us a little bit at the end here where we can think, hey, maybe Phil can win again on tour?
Well, as he acknowledged, he's had a focus problem, and he saw a therapist about that. And, in years past, he's dealt with that issue. But, Phil is at a point in his career where it's a bonus for him. He still wants to win the U.S. Open. He still wants to be competitive. That rivalry that he had with Tiger that really never manifested on the golf course, I think we're seeing Phil having a longer career. And I think he's driven that at 47, 48 years old, he can still play with those guys.
What do you think, Dylan? Do you think the motivation came from maybe being left off the President's Cup, which obviously didn't happen, but he seemed to kick things into gear? Pharrell mentioned the focus. He got his health in order a little bit, but the golf was better. 5 top 10s this year, very underwhelming overall for a season for Phil.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pharrell's right that it's a bonus for us, too, at this point in his career that he's still going. We've seen what's happened to Tiger. But to just be able to watch Phil be in contention, get some of his energy back, his focus back, it makes sense that it would be hard for him to be locked in every single week. So, I think he could be peaking at the right time for the President's Cup, and it could be good for him to have this week off.
Yeah, it will be fun to see him, of course, with the U.S. team next week at the President's Cup. What about a guy like Ricky Fowler? He'll be at the President's Cup. He finished tied for 2nd last week, and Ricky's really had a fantastic run here. Last 8 starts, he's got 4 top 5s. His worst finish out of those 8 is a T22, but he hasn't been able to seal the deal since the Honda, which was way back in March. Dylan, what's the deal with Ricky? He's playing great golf. Why can't he rack up more wins right now?
I don't know. I still think it's just got to be a matter of time with Ricky. You keep putting yourself in position, you'll win eventually. And Ricky has put himself there, and he keeps putting himself there. And we were talking about that rotating cast of characters. It seems like all his buddies have, he's always the one greeting his friend off the, side of the 18th green at a major championship. And it's just got to be his turn, but I think that he'll do it. I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with Ricky Fowler. I think he'll be there in time.
Yeah, heck, he's even saving Justin Thomas's PGA Championship Wanamaker trophy from the hurricane in his safe. That's got to be painful. Pharrell, what do you think? With a guy like Ricky, is his game suited for a run of wins? We've seen it with Rory McIlroy, obviously with Justin Thomas this year. Jordan Spieth has reeled off a few in a row. Can Ricky do that and kind of jump into that, caliber of player?
I think our standards are too high for these players. He is one of the most consistent players on the PGA Tour, the deepest the tour has ever been, and he's a consistent player. I mean, when we talk about guys like him and Matt Kuchar, day to day, these guys want to compete and get top tens and be there on Sunday with a chance. And that's all Ricky can do. But will he be a guy that's going to close the deal consistently? He's got a lot of work to do. I mean, Ricky's a unique player, and is he as polished as Justin Thomas or Jordan Spieth? I don't think so. But he certainly has the experience and the know-how.
Yeah. Kuchar, of course, the master of the backdoor top 10. Ricky's got 10 top 10s this season on tour. All right, Spieth, Marc Leishman, Ricky Fowler, they are among the top 30 golfers that will tee it up in Atlanta this week. Here's Golf.com's Sean Zock with a quick primer on the FedEx Cup finale and the hole at East Lake that could cause the Tour pros fits.
It's Tour Championship week, which means the winner of the FedEx Cup will take home $10 million on Sunday. A number of players will jockey for position all weekend long, but one thing will remain constant. All of them will have to face one of the year's toughest par 3s. That's the 9th hole at East Lake. This mammoth par 3 stretches 235 yards from the tee and surrendered just 14 birdies last year. 14 birdies! When you get a chance to play this hole, follow these tips and you'll stay bogey-free. First, long is wrong. The 9th hole at East Lake features a 2-tiered green that slopes back to front. You do not want to be long on this hole. If you're between clubs, do yourself a favor, take the shorter one. Aim for a spot below the hole where you're more likely to make an uphill putt than a slippery one that runs downhill. Secondly, aim away from the pin. These long par 3s, they require difficult first shots, but if you want to make par, think about your second shot first. If you miss-hit your tee shot, make sure that miss is on the opposite side of the green from where the pin is located. Getting up and down from a short-sided lie, whether it's in the bunker or in the rough, that's difficult and even for the tour pros. With the pin cut right as it is here, you could hook your ball over to the left, and that's not that bad. It's way better than trying to toss in a dart all the way over to the right on a tucked pin and overcooking that fade and winding up in trouble. Stay safe, keep par in play. That's what the pros will be doing all week down in Atlanta.
Of course, the 9th hole, previously the 18th hole until last year when they swapped the 9s at East Lake, that has now hosted the Tour Championship since 2004. Most recently, the course has generated champions like Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, Billy Horschel, and Henrik Stenson. Dylan, is there a certain type of golfer that you like on this type of golf course, the Bermuda Greens outside of Atlanta at East Lake?
It's straight in front of you out there. I think that it will suit someone that's just hitting the ball well. We know how this goes on the PGA Tour. Every week we think someone's the horse for the course, and then it ends up being a different guy. So I think you got to stick with who's hot, and Spieth's been right in contention the last few weeks. I like him this week. I don't think it's not an underdog pick, but he's got to be the favorite.
And we've seen it before. He's won there. What about you, Pharrell? Who do you like down at East Lake this week?
Broken record. I like Jordan.
Chalk from you guys today. Come on, who's going out on a limb?
He's very mature now. He's the best player in the world, arguably. And so you have to go with him. If I'm betting any money, I'm going with Jordan Spieth this week.
And he is the favorite, of course, going into the week. Before I let you guys go, I want to ask you about a story from Sunday. Wesley Bryan, who went out as a single in the final round of the BMW Championship, played 18 holes in 89 minutes, guys. He ended up shooting 69. Here he is, his last 2 putts. The ball's rolling. He's still walking to it. He's not even going to read his final putt on the 72nd hole. Less than an hour and a half. Pharrell, Did he prove a point? And did he prove the point of pace of play has been an issue for a long time, but can tour-level golf be played at a much faster pace than we traditionally see week in and week out?
Absolutely. Wesley arrived at that tournament the prior Monday. He'd seen every putt. He knew every undulation on the greens, the fairways, where to hit, where to miss. It doesn't take that long to hit a shot when you've been playing the same golf course all week. So he shot a good round because he was prepared. And you don't need to wait around and take like the 45 seconds that they give you, or a minute 10 or whatever. So it's refreshing. And I think if they put the radars and let the caddies use those to get those yardages, I think we'll even see faster play.
What do you think, Dylan? This was extreme, but did he show that this can be done? I mean, he averaged 5 minutes per hole at a PGA Tour event.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good reminder that part of the reason golf's so hard is because we make it hard. All the time we spend over the ball and thinking about things we shouldn't be thinking about. And I did look up, though, the World Speed Golf Championships last year. A guy named Jamie Young shot 72 in 50 minutes. So Wesley's still got a little ways to go.
Wow. Unbelievable. Less than an hour. I think we got to tee it up and just sprint for a round and see how it goes. Hopefully bring a couple cameras.
Ready golf.
Ready golf. That's a new meeting to Ready Golf. Pharrell, Dylan, thanks for being with us, guys. All right, we still got a lot more to come this Tuesday. Later in the show, Jessica Marksbury is going to sit down for a round with UFC fighter Cub Swanson. But first, I recently had a chance to talk with veteran tour pro Ian Poulter, whose season could only be described as a roller coaster. Along with sharing the emotions of nearly losing his tour card, Poulter also talked about the art of match play, which of course will be on display at next week's President's Cup. Take a look. All right, Ian, from nearly losing your card to being here at the start of the FedEx Cup playoffs in the top 50 in the standings, what has this year, the last few months, been like for you?
It's been the most intense roller coaster ride I think I've ever been on in 19 years as a pro. It's been emotional, it's been stressful, you know, it's had its ups and downs. And starting off the start of this year playing what I thought I had to play 10 events to obviously maintain a PGA Tour status, and getting down to those final couple of events was becoming hard work. And for there to be a calculation error after my 10th event and only missing out by, you know, $25,000, $35,000 or a number of FedEx points, to receive a call a couple of weeks later to say, we've had a situation where we was calculating you off of the 2017 numbers instead of the 2016 numbers. And what that meant was you do have a PGA Tour status for the rest of the season. It was an enjoyable couple of minutes, but also a frustrating one as well, because you kind of say to yourself, what if that hadn't happened? What could have been? So unanswered questions, you don't know the unknown, what would have happened, but obviously on the flip side, to be playing in the Players' Championship, to take advantage of that, to come in runner-up in that event was awesome. It changed my whole season, and it really kick-started what happened, you know, what turned out to be a great summer.
Yeah, I know you thanked Brian Gay with a nice gift for them noticing the calculations, and you were grateful for that. Sitting here now at the start of the playoffs and looking at the close calls, the run you've had, the Players, the Canadian Open, the Scottish, the British, where you competed very well. Do you think about what these months would have been like for you if you were trying to get sponsors exemptions, trying to get into events just to try to earn enough to try to get some kind of status?
Well, it didn't happen that way, so no, I'm not thinking about it. That would have been a bad what-if situation, right? So my mindset really is I earned my right to continue playing for 2017, which was great. I took advantage of that situation. Once being in the Players' Championship, it gave me a level of confidence to go out to play, you know, a schedule back in the UK, obviously with all those summer events, to be there with the family. You know, it wasn't looking like that was going to happen, come what, early May.
Let me ask you about match play, especially here in America. You're so well known for your success in match play. On 4 of 5 winning Ryder Cup teams, your career record 12-4-2. What is it about that format that brings out the best in your game?
I hate losing. I think it's as simple as that. I hate it. You know, obviously when you're playing in a field of 155, the odds are you lose more than you win. But when it's one-on-one, you've got one guy to beat. So dispatch your man as early as possible, get back in and support the team. I love what match play stands for. You know, stand on the first tee, you shake your opponent's hand, you look him in the eye, the stop clock just starts ticking. Each hole goes by, you're running out of time, and you know, it really focuses my mind because it's a simple equation. If you birdie every hole you play, you're going to win that match.
Do you hate losing more than you like winning?
Yep.
Interesting. Well, I think many of the best would have that same exact answer. Many amateurs, they play match play all the time. They're weekend games, they're friends, they're buddies. If you had one key to give to an amateur who was, you know, had a big match or just a regular casual match, what advice would you give them?
Well, the best bit of advice I would give them is never have your mindset in the form of, what if I would miss that putt? If you've got a putt to win the match or close a match out, you know, never think you've got to go to the next hole. Just hold that putt. Just be totally clear in what it is you're doing. Really focus your mind to close that match out there with the one putt that you've got. And it's amazing what can happen if you single-mindedly have that mindset. Don't ever think, what if?
Ryder Cup year, obviously not 2017, 2018 it goes to Paris. We talked about goals. How much of a goal, how much of a thrill would that be to get back on that European team?
I think it'd be amazing. I think obviously vice captain last time out was enjoyable for what it was as a new experience. But you know, it's difficult as a player to be, you know, sitting on the sidelines helping when you really want to be helping on the golf course. So that was difficult. So looking forward to 2018. Yeah, my goal is obviously to make that Ryder Cup team, to help Europe win back the Ryder Cup. And yeah, I'm going to be working extremely hard to reach that goal.
I've got 3 keys for you guys to stay balanced throughout your golf swing. You don't want to be one of those people falling out all over the golf course. So what I like to do is, first of all, remember you're an athlete, you're playing a sport. So drop the club, you're going to get in an athletic stance. And one example that I like to think of is you're playing basketball. Everyone's played basketball before. You're in an athletic stance like you're about to defend somebody. When you're in that athletic stance, you're not too far forward or too far out on your heels because you want to be able to move. Imagine you're over the golf ball now in the same athletic stance. Grab your club, little bended knees, balanced on both feet, and that in order for you to get balance and power throughout the swing. Next, what I like to think of is a pole down my spine. So I not only have the balance forward and back, but also through and around my swing. So once I have that pole down the middle of my spine, it allows my head to stay centered and I can swing around, and it gives me a good visual, a good swing thought of keeping me balanced throughout the swing. And the third key for balance is to then have that exaggeration. So you know what it feels like to be too much on your toes or too much on your heels. Nobody likes to fall over the ball and look crazy. So one thing that I like to think about is take a swing on your toes and see what it feels like. Take a swing on your heels and see what it feels like. And then find somewhere in the middle that feels comfortable for you. And those are 3 keys for you, and hopefully you'll have good balance out there on the golf course.
Hi, I'm Jessica Marksbury for Golf.com here at the beautiful Mission Hills Country Club in Rancho Mirage, California. And I'm joined by the one and only UFC fighter, Cub Swanson. Cub, cheers to you. If we can lift these, it's going to take both hands for me. And this is so exciting to have a sip of this. So we'll cheers, and then we'll continue. Here we go. Okay, wow. We are drinking Chavelas. This is a great choice. I've never had one before. I love it. Talk to me about why you selected Chavelas today.
Well, it's basically just clamato or tomato juice and beer. And usually we use a Mexican beer and a couple other spices to it. But it makes it go down smooth, and it's pretty good.
I love that you just add a little tomato and alcohol, and people are like, morning beverage, right?
Exactly.
Why not?
Yeah. It's a hangover cure. You know, what's better for a hangover than more alcohol?
Yes, absolutely. I definitely want to get into your golf game and how you got into golf. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about your day job. Okay, you're ranked number 5 featherweight UFC fighter. I mean, that's really impressive. What are your thoughts on your career going forward? I heard rumors that there could be a title fight in your future.
Yeah, the rumors are true. That would be the best case scenario. I'm right there. I've been professional for 13 years now, and I've been in the top 15 fighters in the world in my division for the last 7-8 years. So for me, the longevity I've been able to sustain and keep progressing as a fighter is pretty big.
What was it like the first time you went out there and tried to hit a golf ball? Because, you know, golf is a humbling game, we know that, but I don't know, is it more humbling than, you know, somebody knocking you out in the octagon? Because maybe so, missing a short putt can make you feel that way sometimes too.
It was humbling because I didn't have any real big expectations, but just trying something over and over and over and over. I'm used to getting things quicker. So that was humbling, just the frustration in myself. But eventually I got it, and I feel like my game's okay.
Give us some tips. We would love this. Mental game tips, really, from you that you think could cross over well from the UFC world to the golf world and vice versa.
Well, I think one of the biggest things is not to lose your cool. You know, in our sport, you never want to show your emotion too much. It's good to have emotion, but you have to keep it in check. So if you have a bad swing, and then another one, if you lose it, you're just going to go downhill. You have to keep it in check, and then if you hit a wall in training and you're confused, you're just like, I don't know what's wrong with my game. You go back to the beginning, to the basics, and you start over, and usually that'll work.
Yeah. Well, I know you're recovering from an injury as we speak.
Yeah.
It's probably a common theme for you, I would think.
Yeah.
How many times have you broken bones? Do you have a count in your life?
I don't. I just know my hands I've broken 10 times, and but in a fight, when I've broken them during the fight, not in practice, I'm 5-1. So 5 wins, 1 loss with broken hands during the fight. So
that's impressive.
I'm proud of that.
I think you have a bit of grit and tenacity about you. I like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, that's got to impact your golf game in a negative way.
Yeah, that's the thing, is when people say, how long have you been playing? And it's been like probably 4 years, but not a full 4 years. So I play like maybe a quarter of the year. So I could be better, but I don't get to play as much as I'd like just because of injuries or a fight coming up.
Have you ever had someone kind of underestimate you, and maybe you're paired with them and you hit your drive and they're like, oh the guy can play? Yeah, I've had a couple. I was playing on a course, and I wasn't hitting very, very long all day, and I barely hit this shot, and it ended up going straight and then hooking left right onto the green, and there was guys on the green, and my depth perception isn't the greatest, and I hit at them, and it didn't come that close, and I immediately drove up. I apologized, offered to buy a drink, and then the guy wanted to fight me, and I was like, man, I'm apologizing, come on, and he wanted to fight me, and then I think his buddy recognized me and like grabbed him. So that was pretty funny. That's outrageous.
Yeah, but I had no intent on fighting somebody on the golf course. I'm there to have fun. I'm on vacation, you know.
Really, that guy's friend should thank his lucky stars that he pulled him away.
Yeah.
It's not a fight he wants to get into, I'm guessing.
I thought just with etiquette, you know, I made a mistake.
Oh, you did the right thing.
I offered to buy a drink. It's like, come on. And he was like telling me, well, wait till I see him in the parking lot. I'm like, come on, man. People are taking it too serious sometimes, and it's like, it's for fun.
Golf does make you mad, though.
It does. It's frustrating.
It really does. All right, well, before I let you go, I just have to ask you, after spending, you know, over a decade doing what you love and being so successful at it, what would it really mean, this title shot, if you get it, and eventually, you know, you are that title holder? Can you put that into words?
Well, it's the top of the top. It means, you know, I've already blown past my expectations and other people's expectations of my career and what I've been able to do and the places I've been able to travel to and things like that. And being able to fight for the title and win it and be able to wear the belt it's just kind of a stamp on their career, and it would be an amazing feeling.
Well, and the best news is golf will always be waiting for you
Yes.
when you're ready to pursue golf full-time in retirement. Cub Swanson, cheers to you.
Thank you.
Two-handed for me. Thank you so much for your time and best of luck.
Thank you.
This is going to be my new favorite.
It's amazing to me in my travels how often people ask a question that's completely unanswerable. Will Tiger Woods win another major? Will Tiger Woods win another golf tournament? Will we see Tiger Woods again? I think that Tiger's going to find at 41 that he's at a point where he needs golf more than golf needs him. If that is true, and if he can really understand it, I think that's going to be part of his rehabilitation, not just in a public sense, which is important because he's a very public person, but in his private, most personal sense as well. And I also think the answers to the problems that are hexing Tiger Woods are going to be found within the game of golf. Golf has defined Tiger's life. The long-term answer would be to embrace golf in a different way in terms of junior golf, in terms of work as a golf course architect, maybe as an analyst on TV, to be a statesman of the game, as Palmer and Nicklaus and Tom Watson and a few shortlist others were before him. I am definitely rooting for him because he's probably the most remarkable golfer of all time. He's probably the greatest golfer of all time. But the really salient question in Tiger Woods' life is not what golf can do for him anymore. It's not us putting him on a pedestal as a golfer. Those days are over. The question now really is, what role can golf play in Tiger Woods' life? Can Tiger Woods define himself through his golf as a giving person more than a taking person? I think if he can have a future in the game that will put him back in the pantheon with Palmer and Nicklaus and others.
All right, thanks to Michael and, of course, Jessica, and thanks for you being with us this week's edition of Golf Live. We're going to be back next week with a brand new episode as we get ready for the President's Cup right here in the tri-state area at Liberty National Golf Course. Until then, be sure to stick with Golf.com for all the latest golf news and exclusive video content. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Have a great afternoon.